taking both ban and clans alike. Kier and Horvin strike at each other. Dual blade versus gigantic rocket sword. I see you've purchased a new toy. Purchased? I made this myself, thank you very much. Fire rings its way around the various creatures of light and the ban, all of them reluctant to get involved in this fight. Instead, they stick to the periphery, fighting the guards and the Lily Clan members that are sneaking around. I'll admit, this is kind of getting fun, but at the same time, I'm not interested in a fight at this moment. Well, I'm interested, but it's not my goal. My goal is peace, Horvin says, pausing for a moment, clenching his fist and letting one of his swords clatter to the ground. Kier takes a single unsteady step forward and swings at his head, suddenly teetering on his toes. You can't get it! He suddenly resets his stance, landing on the balls of his feet. You can't just pose in the middle of the combat. I almost killed you right there. What are you doing? I'm a messenger of diplomacy. If you killed me there, you would have truly lost. What are you talking about? I've come with a missive from Marcus Volaffi's conga line for peace. You hear a call from behind him from Jin. What? Wait, what? I mean, I'm with Marcus Volaffi's conga line for peace. Clearly not. You're fighting against the representatives of Marcus Volaffi's conga line for peace. Horvin motions behind him. It's clear that these band themselves were on the defensive. I jumped in to intervene. No, I jumped in to intervene. The only way out of this situation is your surrender. Give up immediately. Halt your offensive against the ban. Kier kind of stares at him. Zeke pauses as well. The people you're intervening on behalf of are the aggressors in this war. If they give up, everything will be completely okay. Horvin assumes the pose of the upping thumb to communicate the positivity of his position. His stoic expression remains the same. Zeke does pause for a moment, seeming to take his friend's word to heart. His katana pauses, but an inch from the flesh of the man in front of him. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Kier puts up his hands for a sec. They surrendered. Here, I feel like you're not looking at the big picture here, man. Kier motions in Horvin's face. Like 5 seconds before you got here, that dude back there, he said he was gonna save Honorant. He points back at Jin. Are you gonna do that by making us surrender? You're just gonna make us hostages, aren't you? Horvin looks back at Jin. Jin kind of shrugs. I still think you should surrender. How about a ceasefire? How about we all stop fighting? No, you're currently treading at the feet of gods, Horvin says, raising both of his blades. This isn't a true meeting between two armies. This is the people of the land rebelling against their deities. Surrender is your only option, he says, swinging his sword at Kier. Kier takes a step backwards, protecting himself with his blade. This place is so fucked up. Why can't you see that? Everyone here sucks, but like they all suck in the same way. Iconoclasm, Horvin yells, jumping at Kier, swinging his blades down. Well spoken, my red-haired friend. I'll attempt to keep Jin off of you. He stops for a moment. Also, for the record, don't let him touch you, or you'll suffer a fate worse than death. Kier stares over at Zeke as he darts away. Slicing through the creatures of light, winding up directly next to Jin. I wonder what he means by that. Kier has a moment to puzzle before swords are once again swung at his face. If you would just surrender here, I could show you how wrong you are, how disrespectful you're being. Disrespect is the conga line's middle name, Kier says, slamming one of his inventions into the side of the maw. It chews it up, repurposing it into a shot and fires it, the force blasting him backwards. Horvin's gigantic frame pierces the smoke, emerging with another flying leap. Smoke catching around his eyes, he blindly swings, clearly missing the inventor. Kier steps backwards between two clearly divided bodies. If you just surrender, I'm so close to a truth that Jin's nearly helped me find, that I've been looking for so long, that Ashes almost helped me find. Horvin seems borderline desperate in his actions, a little confused by what he himself is doing. Noticing that he's now the one being forced back, Kier takes a quick appraisal of the situation. His only backup is on the ground is Ballast McGee, along with an army of golems who are currently struggling with a bat-masked individual who is currently attached to Kolfis's face. Kier takes a step backwards, trying to put his blade between him and Horvin. He attempts to stand his ground, getting increasingly nervous. His voice cracks as the situation presses in on him. He stalls for time. And what truth is that? He clenches his fist, posing once again. I'll become the bridge between my people and the spirit folk. I don't know how yet, but I'll do it. Horrivan's own desperation is evident. This is my duty, the duty of Horrivan the hero. The one that unites the masked me, the mysterious me, and the current me. It's all I've lived for. It's the reason I'm fighting my country, fighting my friends. I mean, like, man, there's so much, I don't know where to begin. Yeah, there's so much wrong with that, Kier says, scratching the back of his head. The masked you, the mysterious, you think everyone around you is too stupid to, like, put together that it was you and a, really? Kier looks at Horrivan dead in the eyes. Horrivan seems taken aback by the idea. Man, like, I talked to some of the people around Jinkala after you kicked my ass, and, like, everyone knows, dude. They tolerate it because they like you. Horrivan is suddenly given pause by this revelation, his face lighting up slightly. I think everyone around here isn't, like, half as dumb as you give them credit for. Why the fuck? Why are you playing like the big-time hero, saving everyone for them? Like, holy shit! Kier can barely stop his knees from a trembling in the presence of the towering giant. However, his sword hisses as if spurred on by this new burst of confidence. What you're doing isn't, like, that isn't what a hero does. Not even a little bit. Like, you, like, beat me in every conceivable way. Like, every conceivable way. So I had to, like, cheat to make a way to be at least slightly better than you in one way. Listen, I spent so long completely alone, just like thinking about myself and how I related to this world. So long I forgot, like, damn near everything. And I was trapped with a bunch of, spirit folk. And I gotta say, your thought process is completely ass backwards. A bridge between myself and the spirit, my people? The spirit folk are your people. Like, spend an extended period of time with them and you realize they're just as shitty. I got one back home who says she's a pig bat. What's up with that? Kier says, almost matching Horrivan's desperation. There aren't any deities or whatever. People are people. They all suck. The spirit folk are people too. They throw rocks and shit at you, but because that's the best they can offer. Overhearing this in the distance, engaged in combat with Zeke, Jin seems particularly miffed. Pressing the offensive, Kier slams his sword into the side of Horrivan's. You might be better than me at damn near everything, but you're not as good at brain thoughts, Kier says, pointing to the side of his head. Horrivan looks down and realizes that the Technomaw is latched around his sword and is slowly chewing through. Quickly, he drops the blade and disengages. What the hell is that? You're still hunting for a truth? How about I slap you with the truth that I found here? Horrivan, what you're doing isn't heroism. It's the same unilateral action that everybody's doing around this place. You're just doing shit to other people because you think it's what's best for them. True heroism is like making people's days better. It's making them brighter even if they don't trust you. Even if they fucking throw stones. Even if they ask Kier, why is this thing ticking? Please take it out of my room. It's making things better on a daily basis based on principle. You don't do it because of duty. You don't do it because of responsibility. You do it because people deserve it. I met a whole lot of people since I left the Shrouded Isles, and I know my worldview is still tiny, but I want to protect these people, and I know my friends, Marcus, Gregor, and probably Ash, I really wish she was here so I could ask her, want to protect these people too. Let's just stop the fighting. What you're doing is just, it's well-intentioned condescension. Let's call a ceasefire. Bring an end to all of this, Kier says, finishing his diplomatic, inspirational speech with a suggestive eyebrow waggle, just like Marcus taught him. He pulls it off terribly. His entire face damn near seizes up.
Somewhere in the distance, a tiefling frowns.
It's clear that Kier's attempts at diplomacy didn't sit too well with him. However, as usual, he's pondering the thoughts in real time. A figure snakes its way up behind him. An impassioned speech, but ultimately incredibly reductive. Doesn't get to the heart of the issue. He places a hand on Horvin's shoulder. I know we don't get along particularly well, but you are doing the right thing. I feel I should remind you, Horvin, my boy. You are possessed with a unique talent to feel the pain, the anguish of spirit folk around you. Perhaps you could take a section of my power to show all the rest how much we've suffered over the years. He flashes Kier a look. Kier simply freezes, overwhelmed by the raw presence of this man. Let's give those years of oppression you just glossed over physical form. Along Horvin's shoulder, tendrils of energy begin to dig their way into his flesh. The man, naturally attuned as a shaman or paladin of this land, begins to take on the character of Jin's energy, being warped by it. His arm begins to contort. Horvin looks down with horror as power begins to well within him. Zeke flits next to Kier, placing a hand on his shoulder, watching the scene unfold. My friend, we should probably remove ourselves from the situation. What's happening? 50 years of spirit folk malevolence, vaguely weaponized? Why does that sound familiar? Zeke says, furrowing his brow. Oh right, Kirlos was planning something like that. We should run. The two turn around as Horvin's eyes go blank, the power simply taking him over. He's channeling something far bigger than he was ever used to in the past. The Marcus Valafi's conga line for peace trips over itself and Batty on their way out as they try to escape the blast. Yeah, the switchblade proving to be a far bigger speed bump than anticipated. The light grows behind them with an unmistakable air of malice. If you choose to make light of our suffering, I'd like to show you the full breadth of it. Horvin raises the sword above his head, preparing the attack. With a roar, the ultimate combined attack of Jin and Horvin hits the ground. Roland lies sprawled on the ground in a pool of his own blood. When the light and the devastation comes, he can do little to resist. Kulfis fares little better. However, using the arm trapped in his backpack, manages to scoot his way around the watchtower, dragging himself through bodies to safety. He too is covered in wounds. Island, to the side, takes one long stride backwards, dragging her blade through the tree. She kicks it over, attempting to create some sort of barricade for herself. The brilliant pink foliage is consumed by the blast, immediately desiccated.
Oh my god!
Quappus tries to make it to the
Buddy
exit.
jumps on him and slits his throat as the light engulfs them both! Kier and Zeke, stumbling over the intertwined bodies in their way, trip and fall into the group of golems and guards. Kier managing to shield Zeke with his arm. The blast travels, consuming all in its path, slamming it backwards into the gate, which then heals around them. A mound of bodies, some moaning, most not, now lies before Horvin and Jin, intertwined with one another. Zeke's eyes take but a moment to readjust, the light clearing. He sits intertwined with the others, but none more than the inventor, who holds his cloak, now mostly disintegrated away, and a single burnt, broken arm up over his form. Oh, you're okay. That's great, Kier says, collapsing on top of him with his not inconsiderable weight. The dust begins to settle on the great battlefield. Kirlos lies pressed against the red foliage, dyeing it an even deeper red. Hazy visions swim across his eyes. With an uneasy stance, he forces himself to his feet, head riddled with flashbacks. He stares across the battlefield at a scattered, destroyed army. With one step, slowly after the other, he trudges towards the site of his victory. Gregor, you feel something shaking you slightly. You aren't quite on the ground. Your vision has yet to fully return.
Gregor blinks several times, clearing his vision. Slowly the world around him fades into view. He's standing, without realizing it. Arms are down at his sides, numb. He tries to move his feet, but they're rooted to the ground. He looks around and sees the carnage behind him. Ugh. Is everyone okay?
You take a quick look around, appraising the battlefield through burned eyeballs. In the distance, you see Thog, who managed to mostly escape the blast. He's standing, mostly no worse for wear. Who's in significantly worse shape is Colvin, who's lying hunched over on the ground, blood pooling around him. You still get the feeling that he'll be okay. However, the same cannot be said about Vern, who's been forced backwards by the blast, riddled with holes. Even from there, you can tell that Vern has breathed his last.
My head pounding, I turn and look at Fury next to me. How is she?
Fury is exceptionally okay. Outside the radius of the blast, she simply sauntered over after the devastation had fully taken effect. She's paying attention to you now, with a look of concern on her face. You can feel something bearing down on you from the distance. Kirlos is still alive, still up, and he's coming for you.
Fury, I can only see about 10 feet in front of me before my vision goes all blurry and stingy and blood. You gotta tell me when to punch. With a mighty effort, Gregor hefts his weight from one foot to the other and takes a single, unsteady step forward. What's left of Gregor's bones ache as he shuffles forward, slowly making his way towards his enemy. If you're out there, Salvetta, why aren't you back yet?
Gregor manages to struggle a single step forwards. His entire body screams with emotion. Every last bit of himself resisting the movement he's currently going through.
I try to raise my arms into a defensive stance. The bones in my arms that were broken by my glaive strikes have now been ripped to shreds by the explosion. I'm gonna punch you.
And then, as if to make light of all of Gregor's efforts, something strikes him in the shoulder. A brutally fast crossbow bolt cuts through meat and bone, driving him to the ground.
Yeah! Yeah! Enough with that!
From the dirt, Gregor takes one final look around the battlefield at what's available to him. His final hope sits braced against the tree, clutching his side, a pained look on his face. His eyes refocus for a moment and he stares up at Kirlos, crossbow aimed squarely at his forehead. Unable to move, Gregor can simply stare on. But something strikes his adrenaline-fueled senses. Wing, 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 thwick! His vision fades in and out, something sticking out of the ground immediately in front of him. A glaive. His glaive. Pockmark and all.
My glaive. I firmly grasp the glaive, making sure that it's not just a hallucination from blood loss. Straining, I stagger to my feet, resting my weight on it.
You feel the enchantment of the glaive that's been consistently leaking out through the hole that Marcus bored in it suddenly take root in your body. Peace, tranquility, and the rest of it flows through all of your aching muscles. You can tell you're still wounded, still irreparably wounded. However, you no longer feel the pain. Everything is still. Then a voice cuts through the silence. It looks like you dropped this into the distance at high speeds. Suddenly that tranquility shifts to something else. Dread, you recognize that voice. It's a little different than last time, but oh boy, do you recognize that presence.
I look at Narn back in all their glory, sigh. I just need you to just hold on until I finish this, okay? Blood spills from my mouth. With the pain shoved firmly to the back of his mind, Gregor trudges forwards, slowly gaining momentum. Eventually, he's jogging, unable to stop, lest his body give out. With wounded arms, Gregor wrenches the glaive up to his shoulders. Lacking any reserve of power for flair or panache, Gregor slashes the glaive at Kirlos.
Without the memory of what drove this deathmatch forward in the first place, it comes to a pittering, pathetic end. In one brutal swing, Gregor brings down his blade and smashes it against Kirlos. The cracks that had worryingly wormed their way through the metal over the past few weeks finally set in, digging, gripping, pulling the glaive apart. It irreparably and finally breaks. on Kirlos's chest, driving the bearded man downwards. With a dull, heavy impact, he hits the flowers around him, sending up a wave of petals. Gregor now stands with the final remnant of his glaive of the waves, simply a staff at this point, over a gently wheezing Kirlos.